Inside Foos presents FoosTalk Live.
And I wait for you.
Sleight of hand and just a feint. The bed of nails, she makes me wait. And I wait
without you.
Stream on.
With or without you.
With or without you.
Jim, you want. Oh, are we live? Okay.
Are we live?
No, I love you too.
It's FoosTalk Live.
You talking to me?
Compelling and lively banter.
Are you going to talk to us?
Talking foosball.
Foosball was how I measured my value as a man. You took that away.
Players and fans, promoters and pros. Unedited and raw.
Talk.
Living in the moment.
We have a lot of important things to talk about.
All while practicing social distancing.
Cool. We'll talk. No big whoop.
Let's get this thing started. FoosTalk Live. Coming to you live from the studios of Inside Foos, it's the 68th episode of FoosTalk Live, brought to you by InsideFoos.com, offering monthly subscriptions with access to some of the most exciting matches ever recorded, plus live tournaments, pre- and post-show analysis, interviews, and original programming. Sign up now at InsideFoos.com. And brought to you by ProtectoFlex, the world's premier safety accessory. Go to protecto-flex.com. Brought to you by 518 Prints, one of the best printers of promotional items, t-shirts, hoodies, and foosball apparel. Visit 518prints.com. Also brought to you by Foosballers the Movie. Brought to you by Foosballers the Movie, the Joe Hesslinger documentary, now available as a worldwide download at foosballersthemovie.com. Brought to you by USTSO, helping to usher in a new era of competitive foosball. Become a member of USAFoosball.com. And brought to you by Foosball Clubs USA, promoting foosball through the school systems all over the United States. Visit foosballclubsusa.com and make a donation today. Well, hey there, it's Tom Robinson. We're back for episode number 68 of FoosTalk Live on a Sunday evening, talking all about foosball, of course. And of course, as I like to say, it's always much more interesting to talk about foosball when you have somebody else to talk to, especially the greatest foosball play-by-play announcer of all time, Jim Stevens. Hello, Jim.
Hey, Tom. Hey, everybody. Number 68. How about that? And what a run it has been for us since we started doing this 68 episodes ago. And I know I've thoroughly enjoyed every one of those episodes, Tom. Great working with you. And, of course, with Mark and with Adam as well.
Oh, yeah. No doubt. I think we've had our moments. There's no doubt about that. But every good marriage goes through that, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. In the ups and the downs and the different things that you go through during the course of that. For the most part, though, I think we've all behaved in a reasonable manner, and it's all been pretty copacetic. And I think we've grown both as radio broadcasters and as human beings as well. I
like how you put that, reasonable manner. Can I quote you on that? Reasonable manner.
You can, yeah, you can. Now your opening there harkened back, and we'll talk more about this, I'm sure, to what really was part of what made up that great weekend in Austin a week or so ago, and that was karaoke.
Yes,
and so we'll talk more about that as the show goes on. I'm sure. I'm afraid. I'm sure.
Yeah. So I first of all got to ask you, how do you feel after last week's travel? What exactly have you been up to? I know you went camping. Have you been able to recuperate sufficiently enough from the Bardo?
Yeah, for the most part, and I'm kind of getting my stamina back. We went more than a year, went about 14 months without working events, and we know how difficult these events can be and how much work they are.
Mm-hmm.
But starting to get adjusted to that routine. And it took a few days. It usually does. And of course, I don't really have a chance to get back and rest. I've got two small children, and I'm up pretty early taking care of them, getting them off to camp or whatever.
Right.
And of course, school's starting here soon.
Yeah.
But then got to go camping, went to a place called Echo Basin in the mountains here.
Oh, cool.
The La Platas, which is a sub-range of the San Juan Mountains in southwest Colorado with very high peaks, 14,000 foot peaks. And we camped at the base of those at about 8,000 feet, and it was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's amazing. It sounds like a great time. No question
Yeah,
about it.
kids love it. The
Yeah,
kids
yeah.
really love it. They're never bored.
You're very lucky to live where you do. There's no doubt about that. Any sign of any kind of activity as far as forest fires are concerned that end of the country? Are you?
Yes. It's interesting. Now, we don't have any fires here locally, but of course, there are huge fires in California. The Dixie Fire, the second largest fire in the history of California, is still raging.
Right.
And starting yesterday, we started to see the smoke in Echo
Oh.
Basin. It settled in. The sun, of course, basically, you're sitting in a cloud of smoke. The inhalation isn't terrible because it's come all the way from California, but it's still certainly the air quality is not good. Even here in Durango right now, we are suffering from the smoke of a fire that is about 1,000 miles from us.
Sure.
But the winds carry it out to us, and we are in hazy and unhealthy air conditions right now, and for the rest of this week, apparently here in Durango and in Southwest Colorado,
No
and
kidding.
for much of the West. And this is what we do these days. This is experiencing these fires in the West. It's something that has become common. It's tragic, and the amount of property loss, the forests that are lost, the redwoods and the sequoia trees that have lived for 1,500 years that are burning down.
Oh.
It's kind of crazy what's going on with the weather and with these forest fires every summer.
Any sign of rain in the forecast at all where you live?
No, we have not had much of the last few days. We did have what's called monsoon season here in Southwest Colorado in the Four Corners area and through the Arizona, New Mexico area as well, where we get those afternoon thunderstorms that come in, oftentimes dropping about an inch of rain in about 15 minutes. But also, unfortunately, they have a lot of lightning, and sometimes that's dry lightning that starts a lot of these fires.
Right.
So we have not had any in the last few days. It would certainly be helpful.
Yeah.
They could use it in California. California is in horribly bad shape right now as far as the heat and the winds and the dryness. And that's what's leading to these just horrific fires.
Yeah, we'll have to get Adam's opinion on that one since he's from California later on this evening for sure. But no, so we want to extend warmest wishes and speedy recover to Mark Anthony Torres this evening. He is not feeling very well. I think it probably sounds like he just wore himself out with the Bardo and the travel and all that kind of stuff. But I understand he tested negative for COVID, so it's not that. But he's just, I think he's just under the weather, which is perfectly fine. And we'll get him back here soon.
Yeah, it's funny, with all of the precautions that we took for COVID, we kind of also eliminated a lot of the colds and flus.
Right.
But as things have opened up, we are starting to see those. And my wife, of course, owns a child care center here in Durango. And she says that she had 4 or 5 kids out this week. And we are starting to see the return of the more traditional viruses. So, although hopefully, with the precautions that we've all become accustomed to, that maybe we can start to minimize those a little bit moving forward as well.
How do you think this is going to work out for the forthcoming big tournaments? We have a $100,000 tournament happening in Lexington, Kentucky with the Worlds. Now, do you think that's going to be a mask situation where I have to wear a mask to play, or?
I don't know. I don't know what the state of Kentucky is going to mandate. We don't know. We've sort of become accustomed to that possibility. Of course, up at the Moneyball event this year in Portland, the opening event for us this year, everyone needed to wear masks when playing. Obviously, we could not when commentating, and so but we kind of have a safe environment up there in the Inside Foos booth. But we'll just have to wait and see. I know the projections are for a very large turnout at the Tornado Worlds, September 1st through 6th at the Clarion Inn.
Yes,
there in Lexington, Kentucky, and I know that that if there are precautions needed, I'm sure they'll be taken.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I know the projections now, there possibly could be as many as 600 players or better. They've had to open up an overflow hotel a couple of miles away from the Clarion. They're in Lexington. So if you haven't got your room for Worlds, there is still a place to stay. It's just it's not on site necessarily. So, and we're a month out yet?
Yeah, I don't think that's hyperbole either. I know the 2019 Tornado World Championships were in that 600 range as far as individual players.
Right.
And it wouldn't surprise me if we, maybe surpass that. With the increased payouts and with the different things that Mary Moore and IFP are putting together for this event. And so it wouldn't surprise me if we are in that range, which would really be exciting. It's funny, as you were talking about that overflow hotel, I hearkened back to a couple of different events I've worked in Europe, in Austria in particular, where, they'll have a hotel, of course, but things were a little different there. It's not a big hotel, and it's usually not held at a hotel.
Mhm.
But I remember one of the Garlando World Championship Series that I worked, I want to say 2007, there were players living in tents, and there were probably 40,
Oh.
50, 60 tents
No
set up
kidding.
outside the venue.
Wow.
And players were camping out there, and which was kind of cool, kind of a neat thing.
Yeah.
Now, the unfortunate part of that is those tents generally did not have showers. And so these long weekends got a little rough, especially in the middle of summer, in the middle of July, which is what it was. And
well, I
temperatures
mean,
oftentimes in the 90s.
Hey, I mean, there's always the men's room inside the hotel.
Well, it was not a hotel. It was actually an arena. It was actually a sports arena.
No kidding.
And so players, of course, that's basically what they used, and those aren't always really well maintained either. So
That's
anyway,
what I call it.
But I was thinking maybe there's not a lot of space set outside that Clarion Hotel, but maybe some space for a tent or two.
I think so. I think the last time I was there for the tour kickoff in 2019, I think I saw a couple of RVs out there. And of course, that was it was later months. It was a little cold outside, but there was a couple of RVs out there that people were making use of
that's something.
to camp out in.
We're seeing more and more of that these days. Players who have RVs. Tony Spredeman, in fact, parked his out back of that hotel at one point when he owned it, the one that you've seen in the movie Foosballers. By the way, did you see the Foosballers and the World Cup show both aired on ESPN?
That's right.
This past week on Thursday and Friday, which is exciting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
On the Ocho, and they lump us in with with the various other those other sports.
Now, we had
quote unquote.
We had a good chuckle over this at the DYP the other night in Clifton Park. We're all kind of saying, hey, it's great that Foosballers was back on, and of course the World Cup, and we're right in between cow chip tossing and air guitar championships.
Right. Yeah. Both of which I truly believe I could commentate if I needed to.
I have no doubt of that. I wonder how Adam feels about that. Adam, are you with us? I know that Adam is all the way from California this evening. I went to a Dr. Seuss show. Is that correct? Adam, you just coming off that major concert?
Reporting live from Seussical the Musical.
Oh, I love that.
Adam Gilson. We just took our son, the 4.5-year-old son, out to that. Although, to be perfectly honest, I think I enjoyed it more than him.
Did you?
It was
really.
The music was. I love campy, high concept stuff, and that doesn't take itself seriously. And that's what this was. So.
Now, are you going to be talking all night on the radio show tonight in the Fox in Socks style of prose?
I would not do that here. I would not do that there. I would not do that anywhere, Jim.
I love that. That's hilarious. No, it's you know what? It's good for the soul. Little Dr. Seuss never hurt anybody. Well,
no, and just to follow up, I would watch live cow chip.
You would
if you were doing it, Jim. If you were talking about it, I would listen. I could listen to you read
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate
a
that.
laundry list.
See, that's the thing. Those sports don't have Jim Stevens. That's the problem.
Right.
That's the
why
issue.
I didn't even know it existed until about a minute ago.
That's one of the greatest compliments I've ever had. That you would listen to cow chip tossing just because it was me. Thank you, Adam. I'd love to have you, of course, sitting next to me doing the commentary, doing the analysts as well.
You know what? Honestly, let's sneak that in the next tournament instead of doing karaoke. We'll do that.
Ooh. Mm-hmm. Speaking of which, you guys opened the door to the karaoke. I just,
I shouldn't have.
Oh, yeah. You opened the door. I have to walk through it. So the legendary karaoke competition's happening there in the Bardo. I saw Tony Spredeman, and I think it might have been, was it Blake?
Yeah, Blake was up there as well.
Yep, doing some karaoke, and then I was astonished to see the legendary Jim Stevens, along with Adam Gilson, up on stage doing Run Around Sue. Wow.
Right.
Stunning.
We don't have an audio drop from that, I hope.
No, please don't.
Oh, if I'd only thought of that. If I'd only thought of that.
Obviously Mark Torres, the king of the self-proclaimed king of karaoke, was sort of the driving force behind all this, but they had a really nice setup, didn't they? And one of the things that was so exciting, they also were set up for having a live band. And a couple of the very young players out of Austin, Texas.
Yep.
And the McGregor brothers, one of whom played an amazing blues guitar.
Yeah,
the other was a drummer. It was incredible. It was really
that's
the
great.
first night in particular was incredible. We had a lot of great blues, and so it was an amazing night, an amazing weekend. I'm a little embarrassed about it. I'm trying to get all of those videos off of Facebook removed permanently.
I've already emailed Zuckerberg.
Smell a lawsuit.
I did too. I called him. I've got his cell number.
You have his number?
I have his number. Yeah.
He changed his number last time I called him.
Well, he apparently changed this one as well. It didn't.
I love it.
But to your point, Jim, Evan, the McGregor brothers were amazing, and I still haven't even comprehended what was happening there. Karaoke's karaoke, and we had fun, whatever. Yeah. But to hear those kids play the way they did with so much poise, and what they were doing was they weren't just doing the karaoke; they did live band karaoke, and were just jumping in, playing stuff.
That's
with
great.
People it was amazing.
It was incredible. I actually got to sing the Foosball Blues with the McGregor brothers, and it was. I don't remember the words. I sort of made them up as I went along, but it was a lot of fun. And for a 16-year-old young man, also a great foosball player, to be able to play the blues like that, was remarkable.
Man.
And I'm a huge foosball nerd, so I'm always going to tie stuff back to foosball. But the way that he went into his zone while he was playing music, it was the same face, the same body language when he plays foosball. When we saw him play Tracy McMillan in that singles match, and it's a phenomenal thing to see, the physical manifestation of being in the zone like that.
Yeah, and this is really kind of like a precursor to what we may be seeing in the near future with this young player. On a guitar, maybe he'll drag that to all the tournaments, and we'll have an added bonus. Not only watch him play some fantastic foosball, but get up there and play some blues, and keep us entertained.
We can hope so. Now tonight's show, it's cool. We're going to hang out with the three of us for a little while, and then we've got a couple of interviews from the Bardo put together by our great friend Clay Tumey.
Yep.
But I think we probably have a little business to do, don't we?
We do. And before we get into this imbibing our IPA of the week, I just got to let you know that I want to change up the order a little bit this evening. I have something special, but Jim, certainly you can partake first, and Adam, you go second. I'm going to go grab mine while you guys enjoy yours. I just have to go to the fridge and get it. But let's launch into this. What Jim and I like to do right about this time is to reveal our favorite IPA. What you got, Jim?
Yeah, I was feeling kind of nostalgic this evening, and I was harkening back to the very first IPA I ever had, going back to the late 1990s, which is really early in the IPA game. And I've got a Stone IPA out of North San Diego County, literally maybe the first great popular IPA, one of the IPAs that launched generations of pop fanatics, as they say on their website. But a Stone IPA, 6.9% alcohol, 71 on the IBU. And it's nationally available. It's one of the few nationally available IPAs, which tend to be more local and regional. Release date of this beer, August 16th, 1997, which again is really, really early in the IPA game, when it was just kind of migrating from that San Diego County and along the West Coast into the mountains up into the Pacific Northwest before it started to head east. And now it's everywhere. Now it's the most popular form of beer in this country. And I think before long, it's going to be one of the most popular internationally as well. It's got Magnum, Chinook, Centennial, Azaka, Calypso, Motueka, Ella, and Vic Secret hops. It's citrusy, tropical, and piney, and it's, as it was way back then, it's delicious.
So, Adam, what do you got for us?
Well, I have, as you heard last time I was on here, I've been really into the hazies right now. And just as a quick aside, today I got the great experience. Both my wife and my a neighbor friend, we were hanging out at lunchtime today, and I got the chance to kind of walk them through and do what Jim you did for me a couple of weeks ago, and show me how to properly enjoy an IPA, because I've never liked beer until we talked about it, and I'm just like, it was fun, and they liked it. We tried different kinds, and this is the kind that we all agreed we liked. It's a Firestone. I'm still working through this sampler pack from Firestone.
Ooh.
Flyjack Hazy India Pale Ale. It is 96 calories. I believe we're at 6.7% alcohol.
Okay.
And I got to tell you, as far as all the hazies I've had, this is by far the lightest, the cleanest, and the smoothest.
Wow.
It's juicy, but it's not overbearing. And the thing that I like about it most is the aftertaste stays with you in a way that's not insulting. And I'm sure those of you who drink IPAs know what that means. So yeah,
well done, sir. Well
fancy,
done.
very fancy.
Now, Tom, apparently, as we talked about in the pre-show meeting, you have something quite special tonight. So
I'm
it's your
leaning
turn.
in.
I have to give
Yeah,
credit.
me too. I am too.
I have to give credit where credit's due because my wife was out at the store the other day and she went to one of our favorite mercantiles. And the guy in the store said, your husband's going to like this. He's an IPA drinker. He's going to like it. So she brought it home. And I took one look at the label and I went, okay, there's no guarantees here, but let's pop it open and I'll sample it first and then I'll tell you what it is. Okay.
Is it a tall can or a short can?
It is a tall can. It's a
tall can.
I better
Okay,
like
good.
it. Let's put it that way. Wow. Okay. Surprisingly smooth, actually, which for an IPA, that's saying something. Okay. It's a peanut butter shake.
Oh, my goodness.
Peanut butter shake. Yes. Peanut butter shake, India Pale Ale. Guess where it comes from? South Carolina.
Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory?
Georgia, state of Georgia, peanuts.
Westbrook Brewing Company, 7% alcohol by volume, India Pale Ale brewed with lactose, vanilla, and peanut butter.
And where'd you say it comes from?
It's Westbrook, South Carolina.
South
Carolina. So right next door to Georgia.
Yeah.
But cheers, guys. Wow.
Yeah. Cheers. Are you going to be able to talk with that peanut butter in your mouth?
I don't know,
that's
man.
always an issue.
It's
like the radio hosts. You don't do it. You don't eat peanut butter before you go on the air.
Yeah. Or dairy products.
Is it good? I mean,
that's a great question.
I have to honestly admit, I never thought I'd like it. I thought perhaps this would be one of those, but no, it's actually quite good. I can definitely taste the peanut, but it's not overpowering. It's not too thick, if that means anything to you.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I mean, peanut butter and beer don't I'm new to the beer game, but yeah. Wow.
I actually would recommend this. I think it's good. It's quite good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Jim and I, we've shared 60 different IPAs now.
I think that's about right. Yeah. And there's some repetition, but not a lot. I think that's probably true. And now Adam's on the bandwagon as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Hey, let's talk foosball, guys.
Yeah. Let's toast our honor group of the week, a great foosball club out of North Carolina. In fact, it's called NC Foosball, but North Carolina Foosball been around since 2012 as a Facebook club or a Facebook group. So let's tip one for NC Foosball this evening, our honor group of the week.
Here's to the Tar Heels. Here you go. Here's.
Just what we needed. So, guys, I know that this is referred to as the Bardo bonus episode because we're reminiscing about last weekend. It's still fresh in our minds. We're still hearing the sweet notes of karaoke in our heads. But also, we're still hearing the impact of the play.
With great moments in foosball history, this is a FoosTalk Live Flashback.
Mares puts it back into play, advances it through that near lane, and will set it up looking to increase his team's lead here in the fifth game, and he's been shooting it extraordinarily well. He's been crushing the ball.
He's been crushing it. Absolutely crushing.
Absolutely reminiscent of when Robert Mares and Terry Rue won the World Championship in 2015. Mares was unstoppable down the stretch, could not miss. We're seeing that here in this fifth game. I feel like he's 4 for 4, and he's going to steal it here with a chance to win the match.
Yeah! Way to take complete control, my man. Good match.
What a performance in the fifth game from Robert Mares, who switches into the forward position in game number 4. And as you heard Tommy Adkisson say, he took over the match.
Yep.
Listen in next time for another great moment in foosball history. It's FoosTalk Live Flashback.
Gotta say, I mean, that sounded incredible just to listen to, but also just I watched those guys play later on as well, and man, what a team!
They're the 1996 Tornado World Champions. One of the things that those guys have going for them is their versatility. It's the fact that Mares may start at the goalie position with Tommy up at forward, but at any time they can switch, and you don't lose anything at either position. And certainly you can gain, as they did in this match, bringing Robert up there. He was on fire. We're going to talk more about Robbie as the night goes on. But really, as I said, I think in that clip, and certainly talked a lot about during the course of that event, looked a lot like 1996 to me.
Right. No, I was going to ask you about that. Adam, what did you think?
Oh, I don't think I could say it any better than what Jim just said. Is that the baseline for that team is that they can switch and they don't lose anything. In fact, they gain when they switch, and you cannot ask for better chemistry and a better use of ability on the table than that composition right there.
Yeah, it's
for sure
astounding. Really, really. I mean, and again, like we will talk more about Robbie's performance, but man, you just wonder sometimes, where do they find all that talent, energy to put out on the table, and the entire weekend, no less.
Yeah, for sure. These things are marathons. We know it in the announcing booth, and of course, they know it down on the table as well. You've really got to have that stamina. And we're talking about the upcoming Tornado Championships in Lexington here in about a month.
Yep.
And that's going to be 6 days long. And you really have to pace yourself. You have to be in shape going into it, both on the foosball table and off. And it's a challenge. The guys that can be there at the end are the ones that generally are the ones that win the world championships. So it's all about stamina.
And may I mention once again that Clay Tumey took some time during the Bardo to sit down in a good quiet room to talk to several people. We're going to be hearing two of those people tonight. In fact, as we close it out tonight, we're going to be hearing the interviews that he did with Blake Robertson and Liz Hill-Moore. And then next week, we've got Sullivan Rue, and Tommy Adkisson. And I have to say in advance, the Tommy Adkisson interview is masterful.
Nice.
The things you hear from Tommy Adkisson about his honesty, his sheer honesty about how he feels about the game, how he plays the game, how he's always, I mean, it's I would listen to it over and over and over again. It's that good.
That's awesome. Yeah, looking forward to that for sure.
Absolutely. So guys, it's the Bardo bonus episode. So let's, what do you say we get down with the top 5?
Let's do it.
All right.
Time once again for the FoosTalk Live top 5.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Here's Jim Stevens and Mark Torres. And this week, Adam Gilson plays the part of Mark Torres.
Yeah, tonight, Tom, it's all about the Bardo, as you said, the Bardo bonus, the bonus O episode here tonight. And Adam and I are going to reflect back just a week ago and come up with our top 5 Bardo memories.
And just to say, I think for me, I've only done this a couple times with you all, but this isn't even in a order for me. Like, everything is still so raw, and I'm still digesting everything that happened that weekend. Like, all of this is just a degrees of moments. You know what I mean? So yeah,
very cool. Well,
works for me.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this. FoosTalk Live top 5, number.
So I'm gonna start and just talk to you about what a puppet master is, and that almost sounds like a negative when you say puppet master. So maybe it's better to say you're 32, you're 33 years old, and you're trying to figure out how to use or how to, you're trying to, I don't know what you're trying to do, just anything. Just trying to apply something you might have learned in the past to something you're dealing with in the present, and you remember the thing that your teacher once told you behind the scenes 20 years ago when you were in 7th or 8th grade, right? And what I'm talking about is the behind the scenes actions that people do that you don't know that they do, and you will never really truly appreciate what's happening because it's that invisible wall that protects you from the scary reality that exists. And for me, my number 5 this weekend was Ben Kempner. His work, everything that he did was so understated and so quiet, but was so effective and so amazing to bring the team together that he did. And to do what he did and carry on in the shoes of Joe Kuntz and just what everything that this tournament means, I've never been to one. I have nothing to compare it to, but I'm a fan. I am a fan.
Yeah, no, that's a great call. And this was my 10th, Bardo, and of course, I worked 9 of those with the great Joe Kuntz, who we celebrated this weekend. And when I heard that Ben Kempner, someone that I knew reasonably well, was going to be put in charge of this event, I said, "That is fantastic. That's great. This is a detailed-oriented guy. He's got a great temperament. He manages people." And I couldn't agree with you more, Adam. It just understated is the right word for it. Everything kind of behind the scenes. He's not a flashy guy. He's not a guy that wants a lot of credit, but a guy that gets the job done and did a fantastic job with this. So yes, I agree that's great. I don't have him on my list. I went a little cheap on my number 5. I went karaoke, and it's something we did, 2 or 3 nights
here
there.
we go.
It literally,
Yeah.
where we were sitting, right, where we were sitting in our Inside Foos booth, it was about a 21-second walk at the
Right.
most to get into the bar there, and they had
Yeah.
a great setup up on stage with a drum set and amps and a first-rate karaoke system all set up with microphones and everything else. And of course, Mark Torres was sort of the instigator of this, and I think a lot of it was, it's been the Inside Foos beginning here of this year has been stressful for all of us. It's been a lot of work, nationals, Texas State, incredible amount of work. And so I think the idea was for at least the Inside Foos crew to take a little steam off, kind of get in there and have some fun. And we certainly did, and got up on stage and sang a few songs. I've always felt I could sing a little bit. I knew Mark could sing. Didn't know that Adam could do what he could do. Certainly, Adam put on a show. It was quite remarkable. I just can't get the image of Adam shaking that big head of hair around on Bohemian Rhapsody, and maybe we'll get to more of that here in a minute. But it was great. It was great. Maggie Strong, the former world champion, who has
Oh
a
my gosh.
beautiful voice,
Oh
was
my gosh.
so good.
Yeah.
Liz Hillmore doing a great job. Tony Spredeman, Blake Robertson, all these players stepping up there to sing. And I thought it's something, maybe this is something you look at all these tournaments. It's a great release. It's a great way to kind of have camaraderie. And at times that bar was pretty full. The bartenders, the management of the hotel had no idea that the bar was going to do what it did, and so they were not quite prepared for us.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I was prepared for any of it. But for me, number 5 was some really warm memories I have of karaoke with Adam and with Mark and with the foosball community.
My heart, help me, my heart. I can't take it anymore.
FoosTalk Live Top 5. Number 4.
Getting you up on stage at Worlds, Tom. You're singing at Worlds.
So next Sunday I'm turning 40.
Oh my goodness.
I know. I keep thinking that, and I've never been one to milestones, and we've all been there. Everybody out there that's listening, you've all turned 10, 20, 30, 40, and it's hard because it's not the moment, it's not your birthday, it's not any of that kind of stuff that really matters. It's what you've left behind and where you see you might be going. And I think what that really speaks to story-wise is how people deal with what they have been, what they had been, what they could be, and could you ever be there again? And to me, the biggest thing that stood out, no, it's not the biggest, but one of the top 5 things that stood out this weekend was hearing the conversation after Mahrez's and Adkisson's win for, I think, 3rd or better, but that Torres went down and did an interview with. And Torres went and was just talking to them about what it was like. And in the moment, all the energy that's going on down there, they were still talking to each other solely. They were it was Mahrez and Adkisson, fire and ice, just discussing what was going on, what it is that they have, their chemistry. But hearing them talk about with the energy that they had 20-something years ago, but and they said they're smarter, their experience they have is so much more. And also just thinking about what it means to be older, to be doing those kind of things in a sport that is often, we say it's not a young man's game, but it kind of is to some degree. And these gentlemen are out there still doing what they do, but that's not what really stuck with me. What stuck with me is that they had the energy and the heart and the desire, and they remembered what they could do. And that's something that I'll never, ever forget.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, that interview that Mark did with both of them, the one thing, and you mentioned it earlier in regards to the Clay Tumey interview, Tommy Adkisson was just so open.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't care that this was going out to a live audience or that it would be recorded and watched in downloads. he was just an open book. He was just emoting. And again, like you said, he was talking to his partner. They were still in the huddle together. It was
Right.
really magical. But I think a lot of it is, and Tommy, having sort of a realizing, I don't know how else to put it, but kind of realizing their mortality, at least as far as foosball is, as they get a
what it
little
felt like.
older. And as
Right.
as they remember what was and what still can be, although the hourglass is ticking down. But it was magical, and I think you put it beautifully. I'm going to take us back to foosball a little bit for my number 4. My number 4, it's a performance that has not happened very many times. I've been trying to think if I've ever seen it before, but we're talking about the Scott O'Hare out of Florida.
Oh,
in
nice.
pro doubles. Scott O'Hare plays forward and wins pro doubles. All right, and has to come back after losing the first set of the finals to win pro doubles, and then turns around and wins open doubles as a goalie for Tony Spredeman. So here's Scott O'Hare. O'Hare, a just retired police officer out of the Fort Lauderdale area there St. Petersburg area of Florida, Tampa Bay area. One of those guys we talk about, maybe 7th or 8th down the list of the quality players that live in that region. He's really good. He's a really good player and always has been. I remember wins over Lafredo and other top pro masters, and I remember other pro level championships that he's won. This is a really, really good player who also now retired. A guy that we've always looked at as a forward. He's always had that forward mentality. And Tom, I think, we've talked about it a little bit. There are guys that have a forward mentality. Others are goalies. And there's a certain mentality that you can identify pretty early on. But this is a guy that we've always thought about as a forward. And here he was playing goalie for Tony Spredeman.
Yep.
And playing really well. And kind of you could see him thinking, maybe this is when I now start to transition. I've retired from my job. Now I start to transition into becoming a goalie. And he played great. He played super. He hit some big shots. He blocked well. He did all the things you would look at as a goalie. And they ended up winning the championship. So a great double for Scott O'Hare as he plays forward to win pro doubles and plays goalie to win open doubles. That's my number 4.
Got to say, Scott's pull shot out of the back is killer. It is. It comes out of nowhere, and it's deadly. Deadly. FoosTalk Live Top 5. Number 3.
So this is one. I'll go with a cheapie here, and I said this. Last Saturday or Sunday when we were talking, Tom, and I said it all over the weekend during the broadcast that we had. But as a huge fan of my foosball idol Trevor Park, the great memory. The thing that I love this weekend was seeing him fired up and doing, and just again, I mean, sticking with the theme of remembering and just whatever it is that you once were and still can be, to see him play and maybe purposefully make sure that he was playing the way that he wanted to play, not necessarily overplaying, which is something we can get into at a later date. But seeing him do that and have that mastery again in singles and also in doubles was great. Again, it was very heartening.
Jim? Did we lose Jim?
Yeah, there I am. I did lose you guys for just a minute. It's funny. You mentioned Trevor Park, someone that I've known since. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody I've known since the early 90s there in Southern California, and kind of watched grow up, and somebody I've remained in contact with. In fact, whenever Trevor is entering a tournament, including this upcoming Tornado Worlds, he calls me and says, Jim, what do you think of this player or that? Although he hasn't done it in many years. But Trevor, at this event, by the way, it's my number 3 as well. Trevor tapped into, like what Adam was saying, he tapped into what he was coming up in that late 90s and into the early 2000s when he reached 10 open finals, including 3 world championship finals, all of which he lost. He lost the first 10 finals he appeared in before breaking through in 2005 with Billy Pappas. But Trevor, for the first time in, 10, 15 years, I was seeing a young Trevor Park again down in Austin. This was a guy that was hungry, wanted to play, had put in the work. You could tell he had spent a lot of table time.
Yeah.
And he was even implementing some new things. The way he was dancing with the ball on his 3, it was brilliant. He has, in a snake shot set, but he's working that ball like Frederick Collignon. He's, back and forth with just these little incremental movements of the ball. and then hitting a straight hole, hitting a far side, hitting a near side, and hitting him
Right.
killer. But it was more than that. It was his motivation. It was his focus. It was his desire, his love of foosball that somehow he has refound. And I've actually been talking with Trevor this week about who he wants to play with. And there are rumors that Trevor Park for the Tornado Worlds may be playing with one of the great goalies of all time, the gentleman out of Florida.
No, really?
And so there is that possibility,
Wow.
and I don't know that I want to leak it yet, but
Well-
there is that possibility. He's got a few different possibilities, but Trevor Park's motivated, and that's scary.
Wow.
And we saw it there. He reached the open doubles or open singles final and took Tony Spreadham 5 games.
Wow.
Without really putting his A game on the table
No,
at
he
times. You could kind of
He
see
didn't
that
do
he was setting Tony up for some later things, maybe, right?
He wasn't doing that. He wasn't doing the stuff what you were speaking to with that quick ball movement, walking around. He didn't do that at all that match,
No.
which is what I was kind of alluding to earlier. But yeah, I'm very interested to see how Worlds unfolds. And
This
I'm
was
very
always-
interested to see what you're saying about the Florida player, because that clearly must be Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, it's Mickey Mouse. It's either Mickey or Donald, one of the two. But when Donald
Solved
talks,
it.
it's hard to understand what he says. But no, and again, it's the great 5 that Trevor has always had, obviously, and now the 3 is great as well. But more than anything, it's the love of the game and it's the motivation and desire that he is showing leading into a very big tournament in Lexington.
FoosTalk Live Top 5. Number 2.
Something I talked about this weekend. I got to say goodbye to my friend John Sneaky Jack Graham, and something that I was trying to get to with him was legacy. You know, those that are gone aren't really gone to some degree because they're with us still, and obviously, it completely sucks to not be able to text somebody, email somebody, get to see somebody again when they have left us, but they're still here, and we see it in ourselves and see it in others. And that was something that I haven't been able to accept or deal with when my friend passed away last November until this past weekend. So to me, not just for me, but to see and be in an energetic field of other people's emotions and feelings, dealing with those that they have lost, or trying to be there for friends and family of those they have lost. For me was the ceremony on Saturday night, because what can you say about that? I mean, it speaks for itself when you watch it. But for me, I cannot get that feeling. I don't remember the words that everybody said, or even myself, but I will not forget the way it felt.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. And Adam, you were magnificent up there, speaking on behalf of Jack Graham, and of course I'll talk about that a little more moving forward here. But my number 2 was the performance of Robert Mares. We heard in that flashback earlier on, he switched up into the forward position and did his thing. I think he went like 5 for 7 or 6 for 7, up at that forward position when he moved up there, very reminiscent of the run that he and Terry Rue had in 2015 when Mares was unstoppable and ended up beating double dipping Tony Spreadham and Todd Lafredo, who we called at that time the super team. Had there ever been a better team than that at that point in time? Lafredo at the top of his game as far as goalies go, obviously Spreadham as well. And here's Mares and Rue coming back and winning that championship. And that's how Robbie was. But then in the first set of the final, Robert Mares from goalie. I don't know what the final number was. I haven't gone back and checked, but it's somewhere in the range of 7 or 8 or 9, somewhere in there, goals from the goalie position. And these were not just ordinary little goals. These were spectacular shots, banks, push kicks, pull shots, pull kicks, just everything, right? And doing it incredibly fast. What it shows me is that Rob is heading into this World Championship coming up here with playing with Tommy Adkisson, playing singles as well, a tournament he's never won. He's playing a lot. He's working on his game.
Right.
And, if you've ever heard about the practice regimen of Robert Mares, it's legendary. This is one of the hardest working players the sport has ever seen. And just see him do what he did at both positions. I mean, his goalie play in that opening set, and they lost it. They lost that opening set, despite the fact that we watched Robert Mares play one of the greatest matches ever from the goalie position. They still lost it. just because Tommy wasn't matching it, I suppose. But Robert Mares, class guy. Anybody who watched Foosballers loves this guy. Anybody who's ever met him loves this guy. One of the great givers in the history of the sport. A man who has contributed so much nationally and internationally to foosball, represented the United States so well, and was absolutely amazing in Austin. My number 2, Robert Mares.
Man, I'm totally down with that, Jim. I'm still staggered by watching him play in the defensive position, and that was a performance for the millennia. That was just phenomenal.
Yeah,
just
it really was.
Great choice. FoosTalk Live proudly presents the top 5. Number 1.
I'm not in the business of prognosticating. I don't know what the future holds. I can only look at little different details and changes and see if maybe they represent a sea change. And the thing that really stuck with me this past weekend was the expert singles and doubles results. You had Sullivan Rue there winning expert singles against a very tough crowd, and then you had in expert doubles Adrian Lee and Chris Fuchs winning expert doubles. And you look through the people they went through, the people they were beating to get to those places, and I'm just wondering, does this mean that this, again? I don't know. Is it a resurgence, a reascendance, an ascendance of lady players in these kind of events going forward? Is there did something change in the ceiling of what women players think they could accomplish or feel like whatever was set before them? I have no idea. The groundwork was laid. Cindy Ahead, Moya Thielens before them, and whatever the future holds going forward, I don't know. And I'm not making predictions, but I'm just saying it feels like there's a little bit of tug on the thread there, and I am just all in for it.
Yeah, that's great. And I think that's the first time that's ever happened, at least at a tournament of any size with this kind of a field, where you have a lady player win expert singles and a lady team, all lady team winning expert doubles as well. And I think what it is, in my opinion, when you get to the rookie amateur expert events, it's not always necessarily the most talented players, although all of those players super talented, of course, but it's who's the most consistent.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, over the years, when you look at a lot of, and I'm generalizing here, but a lot of female players tend to be more consistent, right? They're going to put a similar product on the table each and every game, each and every ball, each and every match. And I think maybe that's part of it. So that's a great call. And really the way that you have phrased that in terms of, is there a sea change here? Very well could be, and especially when you're looking at someone like Sullivan Rue, who really has the kind of talent that absolutely could win maybe an open doubles championship playing forward, maybe, certainly mixed doubles, certainly pro singles is well within her reach, I think already. That's how good she is. And she's sort of the leader of this group of young female players who have that kind of ability. And again, something maybe between the years, something in as far as consistency goes. But for me, number 1, of course, has to be the Bart O'Hearn celebration of life ceremony. I've been involved with this event since the year 2010, and have been a small part of it initially, and then as the years went by, I kind of grew into becoming the MC of this ceremony. And most of the time, in fact, all of the time, of course, it was Joe Coons right there with me. It was he and I. We would spend an hour before it talking about what we wanted to do and the plan and which order, and making sure all the photographs and everything were lined up and all of that. But it's such an honor. It's been such an honor over the years to be part of this. And this one was different. Obviously, it was 2 years, 68 names. I mean, think about that for a minute. I mean, literally stop and think about that for a minute. 68 names.
Wow.
And as it's going on, obviously it's up to me to sort of maintain the flow of it, to maintain the professionalism of it, to not get too caught up in the emotional side of it, although it was incredibly hard to. There were some very, very difficult and touching moments with this one, as there always are, but 68. And so it's what this means to the sport. For 2 hours, this ceremony, every single person in that room, and this means every single person that was at that tournament, was quiet, was focused on what was going on, was feeling it. I looked out there each and every time, and there were tears here and tears there, and people remembering. And that's what it really comes down to. It's about memories, and it's about each and every tournament we go to, creating memories. I had several people come up to me and say, Jim, I remember this particular individual. I drew him in a tournament in 2003, and we went on and won, and this happened, and we won all these 4-4 games, and I'll never forget it. And it's about creating memories. And each and every tournament we go to, and maybe as we grow older, we recognize this a little bit more, is how important this all is. It's fleeting. It's now, right? And it's not always going to be here. And so we need to take advantage of that. We need to be in the moment. We need to be present at these things. We need to be with our friends, because our friends aren't always going to be here. And there were 68 of them who passed in the last 2 years, several of whom I knew, most of whom I knew quite well. And so for me, it's the honor. It's what it does for the community. And selfishly, it's what it does for me a little bit as well, as far as being able to process this. I know a lot of people, and it's a curse. It's a blessing, but it's also, I know a lot of people who pass each and every year. So for me, it's somber. There's a lot of sorrow, but it's absolutely a wonderful, great thing that Joe Kuntz started. The memory of Joe Kuntz, the legacy of Joe Kuntz, as we talked about in the ceremony, will always be there. He's always present. Joe Kuntz will never die. He's always going to be there. And he certainly was strongly that Saturday night in Austin, Texas. So for me, I still feel the residual effects of it in a very positive way. For me, number one was the Bart O'Hearn Celebration of Life ceremony last Saturday night.
What a great list.
And Jim, I gotta hop on there and just tell you something real quick. Somebody came up to me after that, and I agree with you 100%. But they came up to me and they said, does Jim Stevens have ice in his veins? Like, how does he do what he does up there during something like that? And I said, no, ma'am, he doesn't have ice in his veins. He's just present to the moment, and he gives the moment the due that it deserves. And I got to say, on behalf of I don't mean to speak on behalf of everybody, but you did honor that moment very well, and I really deeply appreciate what you did.
Thank you, Adam.
And I will second the motion and say that this generation of foosball players is extremely lucky to have a voice like yours representing them, and especially in a case like that. So, yeah.
Thank you, Tom.
Oh, not at all. I think that's understating the situation, but no. I only wish that I could have been there in person to watch, but it's something that will certainly go down in history. 68 people called out. That's astounding. And Adam, I have to also agree with you. I mean, your pick for the ladies, I mean, this is unprecedented. I got to ask you both, when was the last time this number of ladies have been so good and so consistent?
It's been a while. I mean, certainly, and again, the Sullivan Rue is sort of the ringleader here with this new movement, and everyone else is kind of having to keep up with her, and I think that's pulling all those ladies along.
Sure.
And I think it's going to really reflect in some amazing performances coming up here in the next few years.
Yep. Looking forward to it. Wow. Guys, I got to say, this Bardo bonus could go on for quite a long time. I think there's a lot of memories to talk about for the future. But of course, it's still only a week old. And this is very fresh in everybody's mind. But I'm glad we got a chance to really catch up with that, find out how things went for you both. And of course, when Mark comes back, we'll get an idea as to how things went for him too. But now we got to look forward. We've got some great things. Once again, I want to mention, if you're not already prepared, the world record is about to be set in the end of August 26th and 27th. Get ready with Com Kickern and Kicks out of Germany. They're going to launch this thing, and we're going to be covering it with Inside Foos and FoosTalk Live. Looking forward to it. Here's an idea, guys. Why don't we set up some kind of line where people can make use of their cell phones to chime in from their event, wherever they're playing across the world, and we can cut up that sound and play it back. What do you think?
Oh, yeah.
Sounds great.
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
No, I love that.
Yeah. Very cool. No, it's something that we got to commemorate that as well. And then, of course, shortly thereafter, we have a Labor Day weekend coming up, $100,000 tournament for the Worlds in Lexington, Kentucky. I think we're all going to be there, are we?
Yeah, that's going to be a fun one for sure. And again, the bigger payouts. Mary Moore and IFP doing a great job promoting this event. And first one in 2 years should be a great one.
Oh, yeah. No question
Oh, yeah.
about it. And next week, we certainly will hope to have the whole team back together again. And we'll keep you posted as to who we got lined up to talk to us on FoosTalk Live. For this week, however, it is Bardo bonus part 1 of Clay Tumey, who's now our correspondent, who's out there in the field. And he's recorded 4 fantastic interviews. We've got 2 of those interviews tonight and 2 next week. The first 2, Blake Robertson, the second being Liz Hill-Moore. That's coming up in just a few moments. We'll have that for you in their entirety, so please stick around for that. But guys, any parting shots before we close the
one for me. I just want to say to Adam Gilson how much I enjoyed working with him and how much I am enjoying working with you, both in the booth and here on the radio as well. Adam is really got great insights, comes at it from a little different perspective, which I think is great. And so, Adam, I just want to thank you for doing what you're doing, and I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, I second that motion.
Wow. Well, thank you. And I don't know, we can all, I don't want the schmaltz police to show up and arrest all of us. I could go into detail about everything that Jim does and what you do, Tom, which, by the way, damn, these shows are so cool. I love them. So I don't know. I don't even know what to say to that. I just thank you. And also go Dodgers.
Go Dodgers, yeah.
And
Adam and I are both big Dodger fans.
Yeah. I can tell, which is great. Baseball.
Although they still betrayed me back when Time Warner did that whole contract, and I was in the blackout zone. But whatever.
That's a talk for another show. That's another show. Yeah.
Right.
Now, because you guys did such a stellar job tonight, I thought perhaps I'd be a real mention. I'll send you off both a case of Peanut Butter Shake IPA. How's that sound?
Ooh, okay. I'm not sure how that sounds, but you seem to be enjoying it, so that's all. That's good enough for me.
It's actually good.
Did you drink the whole thing?
I'm about halfway through, so yeah, it's not going to go to waste by any stretch. But then again, I'm a cheap date, so what can I tell you?
All right, thanks everybody. Thanks to
Thank you.
To everybody out there. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. Yeah. Stick around because we got some great stuff coming up. Before we get into our interviews, we're going to be thanking another group, very generous group for the Inside Foods Kickstarter campaign. The team at Inside Foos will always be grateful to our fans, subscribers, and especially those who pledged whatever they could to the Inside Foos Kickstarter campaign. Your pledge is used to replace and add to aging equipment, innovate the presentation of tournaments, upgrade our software platforms, support typical day-to-day expenses, and deliver a high-quality product back to our community, the way Inside Foos has done it for 28 years. It's time now for InsideFoos.com and FoosTalk Live to give a shout-out to our generous donors. For those amazing donors who pledged $1,000 or more, we recognize the Grand Master level contributors, including Spirit Mullis, Protectoflex, Jose Torres and Renee Pasio, Dave Zyman, and the South Florida Foosball Club. With 99 contributors to the Inside Foos Kickstarter campaign, we are overwhelmed with gratitude. Keep listening as we continue to bring our supporters into the spotlight through InsideFoos.com and FoosTalk Live. FoosTalk Live presents a Bardo bonus, part 1. Here's correspondent Clay Tumey and his first guest, Blake Robertson.
Introduce yourself.
My name is Blake Robertson out of Mississippi. Living in Florida now, about 8 years. So, yeah.
How often do people mispronounce your last name?
A lot. They misspell it. They
Robinson.
Yeah, I-N. Yeah, they misspell it a lot. I always say Robertson, R-E-R-T.
You really enunciated that just now is why I asked.
Because they always mess it up.
Is it like annoying or is it?
No. I just want to get it because, usually it's like, it's important and, they misspell it and, government name.
Yeah.
Everything needs to be official.
What do you think about just sitting down and talking foosball? Is it?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love foosball. I mean, I've been doing it. I'm 30, so I've been doing it 16 years.
Yeah.
I feel like I have a good grip on, of what I enjoy and what I love about it, and the game and the people, and it's just personalities, how you can see some personalities on the table, and how it actually reflects, real life personalities.
When you're coming, we're at Bardo 2021. You're getting ready for a tournament like this. What is the thing that you look most forward to? I know it's fun to see friends. You're a competitor in the open events. You're always it's always possible for you to win. You're that good.
Yeah.
What things, or even what few things do you look forward to the most when you're coming to a tournament like this, where A, it's going to mean something because of what the tournament is, but also B, most of the big dogs come out, so it's going to be tough competition.
Bardo has some of this. I mean, usually you'll get 8 or 9 Hall of Famers, you'll get 12, 13 Masters, and it's not a big tournament, but I've never missed a Bardo. This might be the only tournament I've actually never missed.
Yeah.
It was my first tournament that I won out of my home state, open doubles.
Really?
Yeah.
What'd you win?
Open doubles.
Oh, open doubles. What year?
08.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was
18?
17.
17
years old. And I've won open doubles back in Mississippi, and I can, but to go on tour, to go to another state, and
it's different.
Oh, it's 100% different. And I just, I won it with Brandon Moreland. Played Ryan Moore and Eddie Gartman. I think Tommy was supposed to be there, but he didn't show. I think he was supposed to play with Ryan. And then he ended up, Ryan ended up playing with Eddie because Tommy couldn't come.
Yeah.
And we played them, I think, for either King Cedar Finals, and then we played Terry Rue and Tracy McMillan.
Do you know off the top of your head how many titles you've won?
Like all together, or just open?
Open titles.
Just open titles? No, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to guess that you don't know how many all your other titles too before you were a master.
Yeah, no, I don't. I have no idea. I stopped collecting trophies a long time ago.
Yeah. Do you wear the jackets or anything?
I did when I was younger. I used to go to school with it, and everybody, used to say, "Hey, man, I had the satin jackets and stuff." I did it for a little bit, and there's some cool jackets that I enjoy wearing, but no.
What's the last open title you won? You won this year, right?
Florida State I won.
This year, 2021?
With Kane. Yeah, me and Kane won that.
Yeah.
We double dip Paul Smith and Terry Rue. There was a lot of competition there too.
Yeah, Florida State's another one of those tournaments where it's the numbers might not be as big as Worlds, but the competition.
Yeah, the level of you can't just average Joe off the street is not going to come in there and mess with. Billy Pappas was there,
right.
Tony's there.
So you might only have like 60 or something players in open singles, but like 20 of them are masters.
Yeah, you're gonna have to a rough going to get through that bracket. Yeah.
What's your favorite tournament?
My favorite tournament.
If you could only go to one tournament in a whole year, what would it be?
That's a tough question. Let me think about that for a sec. I guess the Worlds, right? I have to pick the Worlds.
Just because the prestige of having the opportunity to win.
I won the World Cup, and it still to me is like, that was fun and all, but I don't think it comes, I've gotten a third, I've gotten a second at the Worlds and doubles, but I haven't, just the environment, the level of competition, the intensity, everything about it, is amazing.
When you got second place in open doubles, that was 2019, right?
Yes.
I don't remember. Did you have the king seat?
No, we ended up losing the semis. Funny story. We should have got forfeited, but
what's the story behind that?
We couldn't find Todd.
Oh, okay.
Surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was sleeping. Surprise.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was your partner.
It was like 45, 50 minutes, and then yeah.
So we
ended up losing the match anyway.
That's some wiggle room that they let you go that long.
Yeah, I know, right?
Because I know a lot of times there's no secret that the top players will get called. They'll show up to the table 15, 20 minutes later, and then they'll hang out for another 10, 15 minutes.
Talk and this and that, practice, warm up.
So 45 minutes is not that uncommon from the time it's called to the time it starts.
When all players are present.
Right. But to be sleeping during 45 minutes.
To be missing a player.
That's unusual.
Yeah.
So they cut you off some slack.
Terry Rue, and I think it was Todd, Darren Bone.
Yeah.
We're just searching. We're running down the hallways. We ended up running all the way to the room and waking them up. Get out. We're up on semi. We're up. We got to play.
Was the match even close?
Well, we played Kevin Romero and Carlos, his dad.
Right.
And we had them 2-0, and it was going pretty steady.
Yeah.
And Kevin switched to a pull shot, and they ended up battling back and beating us. So, there's that.
Have y'all played together since, you and Todd?
Who, me and Todd?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think that was the last because there hasn't been many tournaments, and I haven't played with Todd since
COVID started pretty bad.
Yeah,
pretty soon
2020,
after that,
right?
Yeah.
So about 4 or 5 months after.
Do you think that threw off anybody's game or your game in particular, not playing for a whole year? Do you think that messed with your game at all, or do you think it made you better? Did it have any impact, positive or negative?
I'm at a certain point in my foosball career to where I don't necessarily need to practice as like table time. Like for me, it's probably more beneficial as far as players that need to like stay on the table, need to be physical, this and that. I mean, I try to stay in the gym. I try to stay pretty physically active, and I don't want to tweak things that I don't need to tweak.
Right.
So, it's like riding a bicycle, but you still have to get on the table. You still have to play. You still have to run, do the laps, put the work in.
Yeah.
But I don't think it hurt me. I went to the Georgia State tournament they had in 2020, and I was in all 3 finals. Played Tony in all of them.
That's brutal.
Yeah, I think some people. I know, right? The guy, the man. Yeah. So, I won one of them. I won mixed, I think, and Tommy was there too, and we he ended up him and Eric Holtner double dipped me and Shannon Coley in doubles, and then we won. He beat me in singles.
So when you say that you're like the physical skills are just kind of like riding a bike for you, how do you practice then? How do you get better when you're at the top like that and it's so natural? Your physical skills are out of this world. How do you mentally change something to win the next match?
Exactly. Like how do you beat that one guy that's always So or just to stay mentally for me is constantly watching films, and then I have a table, and you do have to practice, but you can't just practice on any table. You have to practice on the tables that are going to be on tour. You got to be familiar with it, and it's just coming up with a game plan or a strategy, and then execution, and then it's routine. A foosball tournament is such a grind. You could play really good one day, and then the next day wake up, and then all of a sudden you can't hit a poolside. So
how do you fix it?
In the moment, how do you fix it in the moment?
You wake up this morning, you go down to the tables, you have a match, and oh shit, I can't shoot a poolside.
You have to reset. I think a good reset. Go shower, don't think about foosball. Walk, go somewhere, leave the tournament room. Basically, just clear your mind.
Yeah,
is what I think.
Control Alt Delete.
Yeah. Good mental reset, because at the end of the day, it's so, like I said, it's so mentally. You lose a match and you're going to be constantly thinking about it.
Yeah.
So you have to do something to freshen up and get back in that state of mind where, you're focused, you're controlled, and you're playing, you're having fun, which is, for me personally, I only play good when I'm having fun.
Yeah.
If I'm, in a bad mood or something like that, like that's when I say foosball shows personalities. Like you can just feel the intensity of, emotions and stuff like that. So, there's been so many tournaments where I lose a match, and if I don't walk away, it sets a trend. So you have to understand that, realize that, and break it, and just keep going.
So you said a phrase a minute ago that made a certain person pop into my head. You said something about that person, that one person or whatever that you struggle with. I don't remember the exact phrase, but it made me think.
The man, myth, legend.
There's a certain person that you've played a lot over the years, and you didn't have a win over him, and then you had back-to-back wins in a pretty big tournament, right?
It was.
We're talking about Tony.
Yeah, Tony. Yeah, I never beat him in singles, and it was a Lake Worth.
Not only in finals, not just in any match, any point, anywhere
singles,
in the bracket.
Any singles. I've played him many times in doubles, and I've that's different. I've always had good success in doubles, not necessarily singles. And
correct me if I'm wrong, but he's a different beast in singles. Yeah,
he's a machine. If you were going to build a robot that wanted to be perfect in singles, Tornado Foosball it's Tony Spreadman.
Yeah. So you played 10 plus years against him and never beat him once.
Never. No, I've come close. 4-4s, this and that. I have opportunities, but I've never actually signed the match card
until this year.
And it was funny because we got interviewed, and I don't know if anybody knew that, and I said it, and then I didn't lose a game to him all weekend, and it was like a small tournament. It was like a 4 or 5K.
Yeah.
It was out of state. Players.
Which tournament was it?
The beatdown.
Oh yeah, Florida.
It was the beatdown. I think it was a 5K.
Gotcha.
Which
I mean, does it matter though? Does he care less? Is he trying less?
No, I think Tony always.
I mean, I guess somebody like Ryan or somebody maybe even Todd or some of the other players or maybe even Tommy. I don't know. You say they might not. You can sometimes discount that victory because maybe it doesn't mean that much to them.
No, I see. That's
but
where
Tony's not that player.
Well, I don't think any of those players are those players.
Really?
I
Okay.
think at the end of the day, these guys they're trying to win. I mean, these are Hall of Famers. These are legends. These people Ryan don't like to lose. Ryan might think that he might start playing goofy just to set it off.
Okay.
But he's just trying to change the momentum. He still wants to win.
So you're dispelling a bit of a myth then that if it's a small tournament that they don't care, but the reality is nobody has fun when they lose.
No, nobody has fun. Nobody has fun losing. You're not there to lose.
Yeah. Yeah. So you played Tony on the winner side that weekend.
Yeah.
And you said you beat him 3-0?
2-0. It was 2 out of 3 for the winners, and then the finals was 3 out of 5, and I 3 straight them in the finals.
So you go without beating him that long, and then you skunk him in 2 straight matches.
I guess so.
Yeah. What does that feel like?
You know, I was having fun. I was in my element, and that's when I was kind of like just nope. Not that there's not pressure, because there's always pressure.
Yeah.
But it's more, I grew up playing in a bar. The tournament's at a bar. There's music in the background.
It's your comfort zone.
I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
And I was letting it fly. And it just happened to be in my favor. And, you know, you kind of need that when you play people like Tony.
Right. Have y'all played singles this weekend at Bardo?
No singles. Played him in doubles.
Yeah. How'd that go?
8-7. We beat him and yeah, it was a good match. It was me and Bill Bell beat Tony and Scott O'Hare 8-7.
Sweet.
Yeah, it was a good match.
Anything else from this weekend worth talking about? Any fun stories on the table or off the table? Anything you want to share with anybody? Anything fun happened? Anything unusual?
Anything unusual? No. I mean, Bardo it's usually on Buffalo Billiards on 6th Street,
right?
So it's a completely different element. You know, now it's at a hotel. It's like another tour event.
Gotcha.
So
and you almost say that in kind of a diminished way, like it's not quite the same.
It's not. It's 6th Street was so live. It's kind of like when Louisiana State used to be on Bourbon Street.
Right.
You walk outside and there's a party.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just other activities can just, you can have fun. You see people that you haven't seen in so long.
Yeah.
And then you can just walk outside the tournament room, walk into a bar and, hang out and do things that are fun. Not that foosball is not fun, but it also can be very stressful, especially if you're trying to win.
Of course.
Yeah.
And when you talk about you like that bar atmosphere, that also is something that you're probably missing this weekend because we're in a hotel.
Yeah, hotel tournaments for me is a little different. It's more it's professional and it's played to a T instead of there's no variables. There's music playing in the background, but in a dark room, and then you have you're under the lights and it's different. I've been playing for so long though that it doesn't really matter anymore. But
are you coming back next year if they still have it in a hotel? And we're not responsible for selling tickets or anything. I'm not trying to make any money. I'm just asking an honest question.
Like I said, I've never missed a Bardo. I wasn't probably going to make this one though, if I was going to be honest. I came for a reason.
Yeah.
That was that, and that's why. But I love the Bardo. I love what it means and what it stands for. It's nothing. There's no other foosball tournament I don't think in the world that does this. And
by this, for somebody who doesn't know, explain exactly what the Bardo is.
The Bart O'Hearn is a celebration of fallen foosers or dead foosball players that have passed away, and they have a big projector screen. They put up happy pictures, smiling pictures, good memories, and you're there playing foosball. We all share this love, and it doesn't matter who you are, what you done, what you did. We do this out of just love and it's this the only tournament. That's the Bart O'Hearn. That's you celebrate it. We remember the people, remember the good times, and you take a minute and it humbles. It's life isn't. If you blink, it'll pass you. So
yeah. Cool. This was super spontaneous. You caught me and Tommy on the way up in the elevator, and you just decided to hop on, or you actually let me throw a mic in front of you and chat. So I appreciate it, man. This was not at all planned. And
yeah, absolutely. Thanks for inviting me up here. Yeah.
Thanks
Anytime. I mean, I mean, I'm honored for you to interview me.
Dude, it's a blast. I love chatting foosball, man. You're one of the best there is, period. And and people, I said that, I think, before people were, I think I was one of the first people to be like, dude, y'all are sleeping on Blake.
Dude, you used to tell me all the time. You used to remember the stats when you first started doing the stats, and I always was interested. I was like, I wanted to know because I wanted information. I wanted to get better. I always want to get better. And I can always, I loved it. I loved it. And I remember you always you loved my game, and you always used to tell me, fun facts about, about it. So, yeah. The
best year that I've seen since I've been doing stats was your year playing doubles in, I want to say 2017 or maybe 2018, where you went something like 44-6.
Oh, 2018 in doubles.
Yeah.
I remember
and you
that.
Won basically everything but Worlds
and Bardo.
And Bardo.
That was the two, because that was the same year.
And it was with different players, teammates, and it was against all the big dogs.
Yeah.
So you weren't getting carried, and you were beating the best players.
So that was the year that I just won a table from Hall of Fame, and I had just got a brand new table, and I was on a break from school.
Yeah.
So I'd go to work in the hospital, and I'd come home, and instead of doing an essay or writing a paper or doing this and doing that, I actually had free time to dedicate. And I just turned master, which I don't know, a lot of people, to me, once you hit that stage of master, it kind of changes you mentally. You got to be a master now. You can't just you have to own that title.
There's an expectation.
You have less events. You're more focused on what you need to do. It's not like, oh, well, I'm out of open now, I can go play pro.
Yeah.
No. If you're out of open, you're out of open if you're a master.
Yeah.
So, and I turned master. Had just finished school, and I just got a table, and good things happened.
Yeah. It was obvious that I didn't know that was what it was, or that was connected to that. But
nobody's asked me.
Huh?
Nobody's ever asked me.
That's what the thing that kicked it off.
How'd you do so good that year?
You
Why was that the year?
Those two factors: getting a table and also having that new title.
That, and also not being in college, having a break. College reality takes up a lot of real time stuff. Takes up a lot of time.
I told him, I'm like, do not bet against Blake. I'm not saying he's unbeatable, but I'm saying he can beat anybody.
Yeah.
And I think that was true then. I'm not blowing smoke when I say I think that's true now. I think you're a badass dude. And,
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I appreciate you taking a few minutes to chat with us, man.
Absolutely.
Anything you want to say on the way out?
Oh, man.
Closing comments. It's all you.
Closing comments. Thank you for everybody that's tuning in, listening. If you have any questions and comments, hit up my boy Clay Tumey on the 1s and 2s. But he'll get to me and I'll answer your questions. Sign autographs. I'll do all of it.
And I bet Jim would just be happy to hear you say, I'm Blake Robertson, and we'll see you foosing.
See you later.
Say the whole thing.
Oh, I'm Blake Robertson. I'll see you foosing.
There we go.
You're welcome, Jim.
FoosTalk Live continues with a Bardo bonus part 1. Here's correspondent Clay Tumey once again, this time with Liz Hill-Moore.
Sweet. We're rolling. We can
Let's do it.
So I don't know who's interviewing who or what we're doing.
So I'm going to interview you, but what bugs me is that my phone is doing this.
What's your phone doing?
Update. And so if I did get called up, how would I know?
It's at 30% right now.
33.
It's at 33% right now.
Okay.
You mind if I take my flip-flops off?
Take your flip-flops off. So since we last chatted,
you
got busted up in a car accident.
That's item number 1 on the things you want to talk to me about.
Texas State. Yeah. So, it's just not me. I'm sure people want to know what happened.
I was driving down the highway. This is the least foosball conversation ever already.
Okay. What night?
This was Texas State. This was Saturday night of Texas State, May 29th going into May 30th.
Right.
I live close enough to Texas State. You're really nervous about your phone. I can tell. You're sweating bullets. It's only at 38%.
It's fine.
It's going to be okay.
Play to me. Just tell me your story.
I'm going to just close this for you.
I think you're distracted by what's going on.
I was driving home Saturday night of Texas State. And I live close enough to the hotel that I don't stay at the hotel. They probably won't let me do that ever again. So this is not going to be a problem in the future. They'll probably make me stay there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was driving home. I was going down the highway. For those familiar with Dallas, it was Interstate 30, and which branches off into Interstate, or actually U.S. Highway 80. On my way home, doing the speed limit, I'm a cruise control
2
kind of guy.
a.m., 3 a.m., what?
This was I left at about 1:45. I left the tournament at about 1:45. So by the time it happened, it was about 2:30. 2:41 was when the 911 call was made. And I was just driving down the road, and there was a car just out of nowhere, just right in front of me. And they were stopped. They had no lights on. It was a black car. There were no lights on that stretch of the highway. I was coming around a curve. And unfortunately, I don't remember a whole lot about it because the impact was enough that it deleted some files, so to speak.
Sure.
And the best I can guess from the investigation that the police did was that the car was just stopped. I was doing the speed limit, which was 65, and I hit them just full speed.
And so the person that was in the stopped car,
yeah,
they were
hammered.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah.
what do we know about that person? I mean,
we know, most importantly, we know that they lived. I really was sweating that for a good 2 days. I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
I was concerned that they did not. There were two people in the car, actually. The passenger was taken to the hospital with minor injuries. I don't think it was two ladies. I don't think anything severe happened to her. And the driver was not injured and was taken to a jail cell because she was intoxicated to the extent that they thought she needed to spend the night somewhere else that night. So
all in all, here we are having this conversation. You
Yep.
can tell the story, and we're all happy that you're here.
Thank you.
And everybody had a decent outcome with the story, but we hear on the news all the time it's not always the
It could have
case.
been a lot worse.
Yeah.
I hit them really hard.
Yeah.
And modern technology and automobile design and all that stuff saved my life, might have saved their lives. Who knows? Nothing caught fire, nothing exploded. It was a severe impact. It was very violent, very loud, and very scary. And I'm not known for my fear of much in the world. I think my track record speaks for itself on that. But I thought for a split second or two, I thought I was not here anymore.
Okay.
That was not fun.
Well, that kind of leads me to my next question then, since you're not known. I mean, like, what are you scared of? Are you scared of spiders? Are you scared of snakes?
So scared of spiders.
Are you scared of the dark? Okay, spiders.
I'm scared of the dark too.
I mean,
I'm scared of spiders, and I'm also not scared of snakes, and I am scared of the dark. I do not sleep in the dark. I don't do anything in the dark.
So like when you crash at night, is the TV on? Is the moonlight coming through your window? Like,
I
what
think
do you
there's
do?
you could have probably used a better euphemism there than
Okay.
crash at night. Because you're asking me when I fall asleep at night. And we just finished talking about a crash where I thought I died.
Okay, sorry.
All right. When I go to sleep
I
at
mean,
night,
I've had a couple drinks myself,
It's all
but
good. It's
let's talk about that. So
is the AC being off? Is it too hot in
it's
here?
a little toasty.
Do you want me to
but,
turn it back on?
I'm also a 47.
You're also toasty.
Year old woman.
Okay.
Like it's.
Do you want me to turn
we're
it back
good.
on?
No, we have.
Okay.
We're good.
Okay.
Tell
If it gets too
me
much.
about your nightlight.
I don't have a nightlight. And if I did have one, I would not be ashamed to tell people that I have one. The light that is on in my room when I go to sleep, it's like a small lamp. It's not the little cutesy unicorn nightlight that you plug in the wall. It's just a lamp that's on a desk and it faces the wall. So it's very low light.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I sleep with on. I don't do dark. I don't do anything that's pitch black dark.
Okay. So other than spiders,
spiders, the dark. I'm also scared of. What am I really scared of? I have a lot of fears that are connected to. Or is our phone ready? I heard the buzz. Okay.
don't look at my phone. Just talk to me about what you're scared
I heard
about.
the buzz. I heard the buzz on the table. So, I have fears that are related to circumstances. So they're not like natural fears. Like spiders, I'm scared because they're spiders. And they're weird. They're scary. The dark, I'm scared because I don't like not being able to see. And then there's other things that I'm scared of now that I wasn't scared of before, like being arrested for something that I didn't do, because I know the terror of going away from everybody for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to experience that ever again. And that was all on me, and I made that happen. So it's not like nobody made that happen.
Well, that situation you knew.
Yeah. Right.
What
Yeah.
was
So
happening.
I wasn't scared
Okay.
about that at the time.
Right.
And I'm not scared to get in trouble for something that I did now. So it's all good if I get in trouble for something that I did. I am deathly afraid that I will go away for something that I literally did not do. I'm afraid of dying in a plane crash.
Really?
I'm afraid I wouldn't say I'm afraid of it. I'm prepared enough that if I die, it's all good. I think, I believe in life insurance. I believe in all these things that set my family up. So if I'm gone, then there's at least dollars that are left behind for my kids and stuff. But I'm afraid of dying in a way that's sudden and that I could not control. For example, a parked car on the middle of the highway, at 2:30 in the morning.
Okay. So with the airplane thing, how much do you actually fly, Clay?
I fly a lot.
Really?
Not so much in COVID times. I've only flown a couple times this year. But prior to COVID, I fly, monthly.
So in general, did those flights bring you anxiety, or were you just like, okay, this is fine?
Used to, and that's another one of those things that are like in more recent years is developed, because used to flying was one of my favorite things ever. And I love flying and it's fun. I enjoy it. And then probably in the last 5 years or so, I've started like worrying more about what happens when I'm not here and who all is affected about that or by that. And so I would say probably in like 2015, 2016 is when I started having like dreams. Like before I flew, I would have dreams that I died in the crash. And they're super realistic, air disaster dreams, nightmares, whatever you want to call them. And it was too realistic to just comfortably wake up from. And so they bug me, and it's more
uncomfortable.
It's so like the fear that I exist with spiders is like the fear that I have for spiders is, oh shit, there's a spider. And then I jump like a little kid. The fear that I have with dying in a crash is it's more about an immediate fear it's more of like a concern. Like I'm so sad about thinking about that being a possibility. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So
I do. Like, I think, like, tell me if I'm wrong, but like you're in a plane crash, it's like your legacy, like your kids, like what's going to happen to my everyday life, like my kids and
all the things that I do that nobody else can do.
Yeah.
Is they're going to have to figure it out. And that's a bummer to think about. So I can plan. I'm a big fan of financial planning. And, I don't like naturally save every penny. I don't mean that. I just mean that I think if there's a way to plan for something, then I plan for that. So I save up money for an emergency fund. I have life insurance. I have car insurance. I have all these things that help so that if I just got snapped out of, existence, nothing can replace me. But at least something can replace my financial support of my family. So,
okay, this is kind of random. So
at this point, everything's random.
So for some reason, I was thinking about your book, and I did read your book. I know not everybody out there who's listening to us chat has read your book, but I do recall a point in your book where you talked about getting out of jail and you were having to use somebody's cell phone to call.
Literally an hour or so after I got out.
Yeah, so you're out of jail, you don't know how to connect with your family, you're asking somebody to use their cell phone, and you're like, okay, I'm having to use this person's cell phone, and that happens. And then, so how far after that point in time where you're like using somebody else's cell phone, somebody else's technology, did you realize that you were a little bit behind?
It was immediate. It was like right away.
Okay. And then from that point we were like, oh crap, like I need to catch up with, like I've been in jail, now I'm out of jail, and here I am back in society, and there's no other way to prepare to, like, how long did it take for you to go from boom, I'm using somebody else's cell phone to, okay, I'm caught up?
Yeah.
Because here we are talking about each other, and we're using technology, microphones and computers, and you do stats and blah, blah, blah.
I'm telling you, don't worry about your phone.
Right.
As you look at your phone.
So you tell me.
So I got locked up May of 2007. The iPhone, is that a match?
No, we're good.
Okay. Is it not a match? Or are you going to wait till you get recalled? Okay.
No match.
I was arrested May of 2007. The iPhone was released July of 2007. So when I went away, phones still had buttons. They still had numbers, letters, and a tiny screen. When I got out, phones were a rectangle piece of glass with no buttons. So when the lady was like, hey, would you like to, I got out and I waited near this park bench outside the prison walls 3.5 years later for somebody to pick me up. And this lady was like, hey, you just get out? And I was like, yeah. How can you tell, or something like that? And so she just laughed it off. She recognized, the look, and was waiting for a family member to get out. And she asked me how long. We just had some small talk. How long were you gone? does your family know you're getting out today? All this stuff. And she said, is there anybody you want to call? I was like, actually, yeah, I would love to call my mom. And my mom knew I was getting out that day.
Mm-hmm.
And
you had phone numbers memorized still.
Yeah, I knew. Well, in prison, there were phones in there that I could call people with. So I called my mom the whole time I was gone. Every week or so, I'd get to call and talk to her for 15 minutes or so. And it would cost like $20 every time because the collect calls from prison are very expensive because,
sure,
they got to make their money. But my mom knew I was getting out that morning, and she was going to be picking me up from the airport that night. So I didn't need to call her. I just wanted to call her. It's just the first person that I thought of. So the lady was like, yeah, sure. You can use my phone. She handed me her phone, which was an iPhone. And I looked at it and I just was like, it was bizarre because I felt like I was like thrown into an episode of the Jetsons or something where I was in the future all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always been very hip to technology. I know what's going on in the world, and I'm usually ahead of the curve with most of that stuff. So it was bizarre, she wasn't old. She was like mid-50s maybe. So it wasn't like she was like this old granny, and she was just handing me this thing nonchalantly, like, here, use this. And I looked at it. I didn't know how it worked. And I was like pushing the little square button at the bottom, and it wasn't working. And I couldn't figure it out. And she kind of laughed. She's like, how long were you gone, honey? And I was like, I said, these weren't around yet. She's like, here, tell me the number. So she dialed it for me. And then I called my mom, and she was like, hello? She didn't recognize the number, obviously, because it's some strange number.
Random.
So my mom answered the phone, said hello. And I was like, hey, Mom. She's like, hey, son. And that was it.
Okay. And then, so now you're out of jail, and now here we are hanging out.
So the answer, I guess, the original question of how long did it take to get caught up or whatever, I think that was a very immediate realization that I'm behind.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't comfortable with it. And it didn't like bother me. I didn't like go to sleep thinking about it or anything like that. It was just like just like an awareness of, oh, that's how behind I am. I don't even know how to use a phone. And so the first cell phone that I had after prison was still a regular buttons on. It wasn't a smartphone. It was just a regular phone.
Flip phone. Yeah, you had buttons to push.
Right. And it was, I could make calls and I could send texts, and that was it. And I wasn't worried about catching up on cell phone stuff. I still had my computer from before I got locked up, and it mostly worked. So getting used to like Google and all that stuff didn't take a lot of time. I catch on pretty quick. And then I got my first smartphone. It was like a good year or so later. And then, I learned all about apps and all that other stuff. And it was more like a necessity-based thing, like as I needed to learn it, rather than just, I don't want to be behind. Like, it didn't really bother me. It was just, I got caught up as needed.
Sure. So here we are, fast forwarding to, we're sitting here at the Bart-O.
We're in the future.
Yeah. We're 2021 at the Bart-O. And here I sit with you, Clay Tumey. And lots of things have happened in the foosball world and with technology and with Jim Stevens and Inside Foos and Inside Sports International. And you've kind of been this background person.
Yep.
Right?
Where I'm comfortable. I love being in the background.
Okay. So, and you do well there. Like, you're kind of a hoot.
Yeah.
I've known you for a little while. Like, we met.
You know me better than probably a lot of people do.
And I think a lot of people don't understand what you kind of do in the background. So can you give us a summary of what Clay Tumey does?
That's a good question.
With Inside Sports and with Inside Foos and kind of where it started, because I remember you kind of goofing around in the booth at Worlds a few years before this all became official. So just give everybody a summary of what Clay does.
What I do in a nutshell is I contribute in ways that make me happy and that I find creative and enjoyable, and also in ways that I find needs that aren't met otherwise. So, for example, I think I have a certain skill set with technology and just creativity in general that I can do things like stats. And the stat thing is fun for me, and it serves a purpose that nobody else can serve. And it's super easy. I could teach anybody who wants to do it how to do it. It's not like I own the rights to that. I own the rights to what I created, but anybody can do that. Like, it's not rocket science. It's just nobody was doing it. So that all started back in like 2016 or so, 2017. I was doing stats for my own stuff because I was losing, and I hated losing, and I didn't know why I was losing. So to analyze my games, I started doing stats on my own games, because you can feel anecdotally wow, I'm better than this person, but they beat me. Why did I lose? Well, because they got lucky. Bad answer. Well, because slop went in. Bad answer. It's because I got mad.
Gone down that road, right?
These are standard foosball answers.
Right.
Well,
Absolutely.
they cheated me. They called a jar and it wasn't a jar.
Mhm.
Bad answer. The bottom line
Or
was
I got robbed.
yeah, or this, that, and the other, blah, 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 or the tables suck, or, the points suck. You can always blame all these things. But the reality was the good players are good because they're better. The bad players are bad because they're worse. And I needed to pinpoint where I was on the spectrum, and more specifically, what in my game was causing me to fail. Did my 3-bar struggle? Did my defense struggle? Did my 5-bar struggle? And it's hard to just watch a match and just quantify that in real time as you watch it, unless you keep track. So all that to say this, I started keeping track of all my stats. And then one day I said, hey, Jim, what do you think about this? And he was all about it. He's a nerd just like I am. And I mean that as a compliment.
Yeah.
He is all about data, information, hard facts. For years they've said, I feel like they're probably about 80 or 90%. And it's always been throwing numbers out there. But when he can say definitively, Tony is at a 57% passing rate right now. He's shooting at 52. He's doing outstanding. Jim loves that.
And I have to say that from the other side, like being on the other side and listening to this, like when it was happening for the first time, it was really
different,
revolutionary, I think. And it mattered. I think it matters in the sport. And I think it improves the sport. And we don't even understand, like, wow, wait, what?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Tony is Tony. We're all thinking he's busting it up 90, 80, 90% on passing. But then
it feels that way.
Then you show us some stats and it's not always what we think it is.
And people didn't like it at first. The masses loved it. I will never forget doing it at Worlds the first time. I had it on the big screen behind me. So most people don't know this, but I have my screen that I look at where I put everything in. Jim has his own screen that's formatted differently that suits his needs. And then there's also, if the tournament allows for it, there's a big screen in the pits for the spectators to see. And that's a more basic version. And I will never forget watching Tracy Brubaker and Terry Rue sit in the bleachers at Worlds. I can remember exactly where they are, and I could read their lips, and I could see, like, one of them saying, what is this? And the other one saying, oh, that's the stats. Well, who's doing those? Clay. And they're like talking, that's the passing. And I'm reading their lips for this whole conversation. And Terry was like, wow, that's really cool. And Tracy was like, yeah, it is. And that made me feel, because first of all, like, one of the greatest pains is when people talk bad about you behind your back, but nothing compares to the joy of when people talk good about you behind your back. And they didn't know I was watching them.
Wow.
And because I'm like hiding in the back, and I just like see them through the cracks of my screens that they're digging it. I'm like, holy shit. Like, this is so cool that people love this.
So tell me about, okay, so you started this stats thing and you're working with Jim. I want you to tell everybody about, like, the first time there was something like extraordinary in the stats where everybody was like, whoa.
A few things come to mind, and both of them were at tour kickoff in Kentucky of 2018, I believe. And there's one stat's kind of funny, and they don't like when I talk about it. And then the other stat.
Wait, who's they?
The people involved.
Okay.
I'll say
that's fair.
I'll only talk about Ryan, because Ryan was the one who was on offense. And then if people have heard this story, they know who it is. And if you don't know, I'm just
okay. Sorry for asking, but I did ask, so he has to tell.
So it's because it's not a master level goalie, and I feel like I'm shitting on them by just constantly telling. But it's a funny story to me, and it's not funny when you're in that match.
Okay.
When it happens to you, it's not funny.
Gotcha.
But from the outside looking in, it's like it was humorous, and so we were counting. Ryan shot something like 14 John Waynes in a match. I don't remember the exact number, but it's something like in an open doubles match. Ryan shot and scored 14. He was something like 14 for 20, or 14 for 18 on John Wayne attempts alone.
Okay,
that's
a big deal.
Outrageous. I mean, he's shooting 70+% with a shot where the ball doesn't move. And it's not giving credit to his shot when you say it that way, because it is a hard shot to defend, not because the John Wayne is hard to defend, but because Ryan's capable of smoking it and a legit long pull shot. So that's what you're scared of. That's why the John Wayne works. He also bangs the wall and does some other things that make it jumpy.
Right.
So in that match, it was a top level player playing with an amateur or an expert, and even when they switched, Ryan still scored it. And that was one of those stats where I was in the booth with Jim, and I was telling Jim, like, dude, he's 6 in a row, 7 in a row, 8 in a row, 9 in a row, 10 in a row. He finally blocked when he's 10 for 11 or whatever the stats were. And for the whole match, I was able to tell him, in addition to traditional passing and scoring percentages, clearing percentages, I also had this little side note of these stats. And so for Jim, who is the best there's ever been at what he does.
Right.
And to me, nobody else is even in the conversation. I know other people can do it and they have the ability.
Sure.
But if we're talking about foosball commentary, Jim Stevens is the conversation.
Right.
And then everybody else is, below that significantly. And I think other people can do it. I think other people will do it. He works with other people in the booth nowadays to kind of train them and all that stuff. But he is the guy.
Right.
Period.
Right.
And as good as he is, he only gets better when you give him more information. So he can speak anecdotally, he can observe, he can tell you what he sees, he can walk you through the match. Jim can create a story with what's happening on the table. And it's awesome. And so when you give him factual information, it's like giving Picasso more colors to paint with. It doesn't get worse. It's only better. So that's one stat that I think of. And then at that same tournament, and I'm totally okay saying these names because nobody cares. Tommy Adkisson was playing forward in open doubles.
And this was at
Tour Kickoff. Yeah.
Okay.
And I want to say 2018. I'm almost positive it was 2018. And he was playing open doubles. I forget who he's playing with. And then he was playing against Derek Brown and Matt McCrory out of New York. And Matt McCrory blocked Tommy Adkisson. Tommy was shooting on the 3-bar. Matt was blocking in goal. He blocked him, I want to say 21 consecutive shots.
That's a lot of shots.
And this is on camera. You can go look at it. Now,
so I would venture to say that Tommy had that many possessions, like he passed.
He was passing.
Or he was shooting and getting the ball back.
No, he wasn't getting the ball back.
He
was passing the ball.
That's a lot of possessions,
It is,
Clay.
And they won the match too.
Okay.
Tommy won the match.
Okay.
He got blocked. And by the way, some of the blocks rattled off the walls and still went in. So that's where we talk about how do we keep stats? What is a block? What is a missed shot? And all that stuff. What's a break? What's a slop? Blah, blah, blah. But the reality is Tommy shot the ball and Matt was either in the way or Tommy hit the wall or something else. It was either 19 or 21. I want to say it was 21. I think it was over 20. And that's to say that no matter who it was, to say that you were able to do that against Tommy Adkisson, Hall of Famer, rock star of all kinds,
right?
Back, shooting from the back, shooting from the front, singles, doubles, doesn't matter. He is a guy you can always brag about when you do that to him. And so that was legit. And that all, and then on top of that, Matt McCrory, who is a pro level player, he's not a master, but he was the master in that match for those possessions, at least.
Sure.
And then, of course, Tommy being Tommy, and then Matt's partner just basically struggling to score. Tommy still was able to win because he went 8 for his last 10. When it mattered, he scored, and the match was over and they won. But those are two of the stats. When I think about stats, those are the two that stick out.
So when you watch these matches occur, and you're watching these big time matches, doesn't matter what tournament we're at, what stands out to you when matches are won? Is it offense or defense?
It is. That's a good question. I think if you have anything that's outside of the normal, then whether it's offense or defense, that's probably where you're going to win. So, for example, for your passing, if you're passing at a 50% clip, you're in the match and you're probably going to win. If you're shooting, you're at 50%, you're in the match and you're probably going to win. So based on that, if you're defending at 50%, then the same should go, but it's basically a coin flip.
Okay.
Because you're so close to middle that who knows. But if you're unable to defend, a good example here is the 2016 World Double Tornado Championships, where I think it was 2016, where Rob Mares and Terry Rue won open doubles. And in the final match, Rob shot something like 75%. He was like 12 for 16 in the last match, which is outrageous. You're not losing that match.
Right.
You're just not.
Right.
The only way you lose that match is an absolute anomaly that we've never seen before. But when you shoot 75%, it doesn't matter what the other team does. It just doesn't. And people can say, well, it's possible this and it's possible. Mathematically, it's possible.
Right.
But I don't, until it happens, I'm going to keep saying, when you shoot 75%, you don't lose. On the flip side of that, when you shoot 30%, you don't win. You just don't. So you can say that however you want. You can say offense is so important that it's so powerful that if you shoot 70%, you win. Or you can say defense is so powerful that if you hold them to 30%, you win. So it's like tomato, I guess.
Okay.
So I mean, in a game where you're directly interacting with the opponent, it's however you want to. Me personally, I would rather have offense than defense, because if you get the ball and you're 5 for 5 passing, 5 for 5 shooting, you win no matter what. It's mathematically impossible to lose if you go 5 for 5, 5 for 5.
So with you arriving late in the game this weekend here at Bart O, what do you know about? I mean, I'm just curious. This kind of whatever question. What do you know about what's happening in the open events right now? Because here we are Sunday evening. Yeah. It's what time is it?
It is 6:40 on Sunday night.
It feels like midnight to me, but 6:40. So we still have many hours to go. You don't know anything that's going on with singles or doubles.
I saw 2 balls of the winners bracket final for open doubles.
Okay. And who was that?
That was Rob Mares and Tommy Adkisson.
And they're
defeating Tom Yor and Brandon Moreland.
Okay.
And Brandon Moreland for the king seat of open doubles.
Right. So obviously there's still a lot to come.
Yep.
Do you have any predictions with what you saw in those 2 balls? I mean, that's not really a fair question, but what do you know? What do you think? What do you
know
feel?
that Tony is playing. Tony's still in the conversation. He's playing with Scott O'Hare. Tom Yor is still in the conversation with Brandon Moreland. Obviously, Rob Mares and Tommy Adkisson they hold the king seat, so they're still there. I will never bet against any of the names that I just mentioned, except, and this is no disrespect to Scott, but he's the only one that I would ever bet against, because if he was playing like Tommy or Tony or somebody like that, in singles, but it's not to slight him. I think he would agree with that.
Yeah, that's fair.
But Tony being the forward on that, I'm not betting against that. I'm not betting against Tom or Brandon. I'm not betting against Rob or Tommy. I will say that I have said for probably 4 years now, since I started doing stats, I think Brandon Moreland is the best goalie in the game, period, bar none. And I don't care what anybody says.
Agree with you.
He blocks as good as the top blockers, and he shoots as good as the top shooters. The only, and this is only my opinion, and I don't have facts to back this up, so I'm not going full stat nerd here. Ryan Moore is definitely in the conversation with anybody if a foosball table is involved.
Right. But he's not here this weekend.
He's not here this weekend.
Let's just talk about Brandon right now.
Of the players that are here, and the players who are not named Ryan Moore, I think Brandon is purely the best goalie, whether we're talking about defense, whether we're talking about shooting. He can score at a clip that people don't realize, because they're fat. His game is not big and flashy and violent and scary, and he's not loud.
I mean, let me just comment on Brandon just for a moment. I know we're about to run out of time, but I've been playing foosball for 30-something years, and Brandon's been around for most of those years, and I've seen him come in and out, fade in and out of foosball. And when I see him play, it's always spectacular.
Yeah.
Always spectacular. And not to mention, I had the honor of playing mixed doubles with him once. Actually, it was at a Warrior tournament. I think that's the year I might have met you, Clay. Yep. We might have played an event or two that weekend, but
you played with Russ King that weekend.
He told me some pretty valuable things when I was playing with him in mixed doubles. And I thought, wow, I've been playing quite a while at this point, and not one master forward that I've had the honor. And I've played with amazing players,
all of them probably,
over the years. Like, I've been blessed to play with a lot of, and I'm thinking, I've never heard that before. Brandon just gave me this tip as a goalie to do this. And
I would guess that it was a super simple, articulated, very simply
simple,
plug and play
and
advice.
I'm not going to give it away. If any of you out there are listening, you can come and ask me, and I'll tell you exactly what it was.
Yeah.
I wonder if Brandon remembers.
I bet he does.
But I bet he does. And it was just about me setting up the ball and playing goalie and mix, obviously, and how to execute and get it done from back there. And it was like, this is brilliant.
Yep.
But beyond that, watching him play, watching him be a goalie and a forward.
Yep. He's a beast at both. Brandon is the only other player.
It's impressive.
Tommy Yore is in the conversation now, I think, but there are exactly two people who I'll put my money on Tony in singles against literally anybody in the world except for two people, Tommy Yore and Brandon Moreland. Okay. And the only reason I don't say that about Ryan Moore is honestly, just call it what it is. Ryan doesn't always care. He likes to have fun. And that's one of the reasons he's fun to watch is because he lets it fly, and he's a very exciting player to watch. So it's hard to know when Ryan is trying to win the match. If he gives, I call it the gas factor.
Yeah.
Give a shit.
Well, and it's going to be great to see Ryan this year at the Worlds because we haven't seen him in a while, and he's got 2 kids now. Right. He's got 2 precious boys. He's married. He's, running his business and so on. So it'll be interesting to see Ryan show up with a new role, not only in life, but it's not a new role in foosball. But how is he going to execute? How is he going to deal with? It all depends.
I will say it until the day that I'm done watching foosball. Or until he retires. If he cares, don't bet against him.
Okay.
If he cares, do not bet against him. I don't care who he's playing. And the better bet, the thing that is a safer bet is whether or not he'll really give a shit.
Well, let's talk about Ryan Moore just for one more moment. Okay. He's going to.
By the way, we're past 30. Okay. I have all the time in the world.
Okay.
So I don't know what your time looks like.
I say we close it out here in just a moment, but I just want to talk about Ryan playing open doubles at the World Championships with Blake
this year.
Is that who he's playing with?
I don't know.
Do you know? I think so. I could be wrong.
We can go ask Blake.
I think it's ugly.
Okay.
I think it's a nasty combination.
In a good way or in a bad way?
Oh, I think they're a dangerous team. They came from 2019 World Cup championships in doubles. Yeah. It's been a while since they've been on the table together. Mm-hmm. Blake has been hot. I mean, we just won a mixed doubles together. He's playing really well. And Ryan's going to jump in pits.
Yeah.
What does that look like from your perspective going into Worlds?
The only team that I would say could break them up, if they play together, they're my pick. If Tommy,
what about Tommy?
Tommy Yore and Brandon.
Okay.
Again, I'll literally never bet against Brandon. He's just too good and too consistent, and he's a clutch player.
This is meat nut.
If who has the drop, because that's who I'm probably betting on.
Okay.
I mean, that's how at that level, I trust everyone to execute, and in foosball, it's harder to play defense than it is to play offense. It's just easier to pass than it is to block a pass. It's easier to shoot than it is to defend. It's just, that's what the math says. That's what my eyeball test says. That's what my experience says. If it's a penalty shot and you have, I'll put this on you. If it's a penalty shot for the whole championship, would you rather shoot or block?
I'd rather shoot.
Right, because shooting is easier than blocking. And so whoever has the drop in that situation is who I'm betting on. They're too good to say, okay, well, it doesn't matter because they're all that good. So
I guess we're going to find out in just 4 weeks, 6 weeks.
It's going to be here before you know it. And I don't know who's Tony. Hopefully Tony plays with a hard hitter. Hopefully the other big dogs show up.
You can never count Tony out.
Right.
And where are these guys going to fall in the seeding? That'll be interesting too.
Yeah.
Where the brackets fall for them.
Yep.
And then there's always other teams.
But the bottom line is you have to get through it no matter what. If you have an easy bracket, you're still going to eventually face somebody who's not easy.
Right.
And sometimes it plays into your favor to have hard match, because you're already warmed up with hard, instead of playing amateur, pro, amateur, rookie, amateur, pro, and then bam, Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Like, it's like jumping out of the hot tub into a cold swimming pool. It's you might know how to swim, but it's still cold for a second. So that's my opinion. I'm not a master level player. I don't pretend to be. But if I'm putting money on anybody, I'm putting money on Blake and Ryan, and right behind them is Tommy and Brendan. So
okay,
we'll see how it goes.
Awesome, Clay.
Thanks for talking to me.
What a hoot!
Yeah, this is fun.
Thanks.
I thought I was going to interview you, and you interviewed me. All right, sweet.
I did. I did it all that
Cool.
time.
Anything you want to say before I hit stop on recording?
Liz is awesome.
All right, cool. And we'll stop there.
FoosTalk Live wants to thank Clay Tumey and his great guests, Blake Robertson and Liz Hill Moore. Next week, Barto Bonus Part 2 with Tommy Adkisson and Sullivan Rue. FoosTalk Live is a product of Inside Foos, all rights reserved. Brought to you in part by InsideFoos.com, Protectoflex, 518 Prince, Foosballers the Movie, Foosball Clubs USA, and the USTSO. Tune in again next week for another episode of FoosTalk Live. In the meantime,
we'll see you foozin'.